was making this film like taking a long, strange trip back into the 70s?
I wish, I was 2, so I didn't get to experience that. But I do wish, not because of the drugs, but I do wish the mentality. It's like this great, it's like going back to, like Beckett when you were starting out in theater and, you're reading Beckett and you're not quite understanding it, but you know there's something great about it. There's a great music about it, or Ionesco or Artaud and all that. So this is like going into a great acid trip that you didn't realize that somebody slipped. You just went to the party to have fun, and then suddenly you start seeing shit that you don't want to see. Not necessarily that you don't want to see, but it's nice to be involved in a story that you have no control over. You have to lend yourself to this story. You have to lend yourself to reading the book. You have to lend yourself to watching this movie. You can't control it, and there's something wonderful about that. It's a different experience, at least objectively when I saw it.
I take it you were pretty familiar with Thomas Pynchon's work?
I was not. No, not at all, actually. With him at all. I didn't know him. I'd heard of Gravity's Rainbow, and that was it, but I hadn't read really anything of his. So, no, I came into it completely raw and infant. And so it was great. It was great. It was a great music. And then I heard, later on that Anthony Zerbe, who did read the book, that Pynchon was thinking of like a young Anthony Zerbe, who's my good friend. So we talked about it a lot. And but it was a learning experience. It was like I didn't just get it. It wasn't one of these things like, wow, I love Pynchon and I've been a huge fan forever, and this is something that I understand right off the bat. It was really having to spend time with it and understand the music of it and all that.
Oh, good. So I have a little time before I need to understand it.
You don't. But that's the thing. It's like it's like a whodunit. It presents itself as a whodunit, but then if you lend you're seeing it through Doc's eyes. You're seeing it through a guy who smokes pot all day long. So what's the use of that? To try and intelligently put this thing in, and you can, but you can't do it in a way that you're normally used to. You're not watching Gone Girl. You're watching Inherent Vice. They're different movies. You know what I mean? Oh, that is that and that. I remember, that and that piece I can put to that now, and oh my God, you got to be kidding. Wow. You're just kind of doing that the whole time, like, wow, huh. And that's good to me because it's a different perspective, And Paul, who braces a different perspective better than Paul Thomas Anderson? Whether you're talking about oil out in the middle of California, or you're talking about, you're raining frogs. It's like you're into that thing or you're not, It's up to you.
Yeah, Raining Frog, Magnolia. It was the precursor. It had to be. I was saying, and the marketers have killed me for this suggestion, but I said, you should give everyone a bong hit with their ticket purchase.
Totally. Why not? Why not? If you're into that. If it helps. Whatever helps. No, I think, it's this thing that I've seen people, I do Q&As or whatever, and I've seen people after the movie and like do this. Or I've seen people like happy. There was a guy I just saw at a Q&A. I've never seen a guy so happy. And no, he was not drunk, and no, he was not high. But he was so jazzed up by what he just saw. I don't think I've ever done any movie where I've seen somebody that jazzed up. And then there's people that are somewhere in the middle. There are different variations of the middle. But so why not,
So your character, how did he get the nickname Bigfoot? Is it because he's a bit of a lug and a ham?
No, because he knocks down, that's what he's known for. You see it at the end of the film where he knocks down Doc's door with his foot. And he so desperately wants to make an impact that that's what he has. He has to actually make it that obvious. You know what I mean? You get some kind of a moniker for his obvious. He's a childish character. He's an incredibly childish character that just wants to be noticed. And he'll do anything to be noticed. And how he manifests that is really incredibly childish. Yeah.
Masking a huge insecurity. Right?
Whatever that is, whatever the behavior is, when you see him as emasculated as he is at home, it makes perfect sense to me, which I enjoy.
I understand the look was a decision made at the very last minute.
Yeah. We that was fun actually because we had this whole kind of Jack Lord thing going with the hair and Hawaii 5-0 kind of look and it didn't work because my hair wasn't long enough, so we did extensions. And anyway, there was enough time because it wasn't working, and we were trying to make it work to actually think of other things that could be a possibility. And I had seen a picture in the 1950s of a cop with a flat top, and I thought it looked really great. But it was a big decision because it's a very distinctive look. So do we really want to go there? Is it calling too much attention to who he is? Is it compensating for lack of understanding of the character and all this kind of stuff? But I thought it was appropriate. When I saw it, sometimes things look like affectations. It looked appropriate to who he was.
Right.
I think.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
And it, as you say, it does sort of relate him more to the 50s and a bit uptight. And,
it separates him from the rest of that, era.
Yeah. Was the hippie vibe an easy one for you to immerse yourself
Well, I
in?
didn't have to immerse myself. I got to everything I didn't appreciate about it, or at least Bigfoot didn't appreciate about it. So it was like whatever was happening on the set, I got to be antagonistic toward, which was fun. Yeah.
Now, Joaquin obviously has worked with Paul before. What kind of relationship do they have, and why do they suit each other, do you think?
When I saw The Master, I was blown away with what Joaquin did. I mean, I thought it was one of the greatest performances I've ever seen. And, so very quiet, very kind of intrinsic, whereas mine was much more verbal. I asked a lot of questions and, slow to the take. I love my relationship with him just because it's out there, it's verbal. We get together, we talk about a bunch of stuff. Where he and Joaquin are much more. They can just look at each other and know, and then go in a different direction. But there's always between the three of us, especially with the scenes that Joaquin and I did, and I feel like Paul he was in those scenes too. It wasn't just a director over there looking from behind a camera. There was an incredible kind of fun electricity going on where you knew anything could happen. And if we all have our understanding of Joaquin, where he kind of does what he wants to do, which is great. And then I have a little bit of that too. So you put two of those guys together, and then kind of anything can happen. And what you saw is definitely the tamed down version of what we did.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The frozen banana scene in the car became an instant classic.
Okay.
I mean, there was laugh out loud.
I don't know if that's good or not, but yeah, I'm glad we did it. And that was like a spur of the moment thing, It got Paul laughing, and that's all I cared about at the moment.
Oh my God, I laughed out loud. Okay. And the look on Joaquin's face is...
You can't do that without the Joaquin look. Without Joaquin in the car, it doesn't work. It's only through his looks. I mean, that's a lot of this stuff, like what we did, and a lot of what was funny was based off, in the end of the thing, when Joaquin has a tear coming down for this pathetic guy who's munching on all the pot afterward, you can't have Bigfoot without Doc.
And it is sort of an absurdist, humoristic take, which is a really difficult tone to accomplish, right?
I think because it's absurd. Just the word itself. Just look up the word. There's no real foundation to absurdity. So again, you have to let yourself go and watch this thing and be taken by the ride. Whether it's something that after you watch this film or after you read the book that you're like, What I've gotten from people is that they're still thinking about it, and I remember that from No Country really well. I remember people saying, "What was that ending? I don't get the ending. What was the ending? How many times did you see the movie? 3? I still don't get the ending." Saw the movie 3 times though. It has to be enough of a decent film to want to see it again, and that's what I've gotten from this movie. People, they watch the film and they go, "I can't wait to see it again," or "I need to see it again." From different, some frustratingly, some I can't wait, some excitedly, but that's a good thing. I think it's an experience. It's a different experience. It's a different perspective.